Hello, hello. I am Cassie Brown, and I am thrilled to welcome you to the Amplify My Impact podcast. After years of consulting and managing programs for some of the top entrepreneurs, CEOs, and marketers in the industry, I am on a mission to expand our contribution, to grow, scale, and create more so we can do and give more. This podcast celebrates entrepreneurs who are boldly stepping up to own their calling, expand their influence, and stretch outside their comfort zone, who've decided to stop playing it small, pick up the mantle of contribution, and serve at a higher level, to lead by example and light the way for others. If that's you, then get ready to amplify. There's a fire that burns inside your soul, and we're going to ignite it into a roaring blaze of unstoppable momentum. Hello and welcome, everybody. We are live, and I am so excited to bring with us today and introduce my girl, Dr. Lindsay Padilla. I cannot say enough how excited that I am. I've been fangirling on this amazing woman for going on 3 years now, and I am super excited that she's here with us talking about this topic. And I know she's going to get to share a little bit of her story, how she got there, who she's serving, and how she's serving them now. She's a consistent inspiration every time I log in and I see her smiling, beautiful face. She's a genius, and I could go on and on and on and on, but I really want to get started and dive in so we can 100% use this next hour together to totally just enhance our world and the way that we can impact and leverage in our personal life and our business. And of course, the topic of focus, we're driving it home for this month, and Lindsay has an incredible journey, and I'm sure some stories that she can impart major wisdom on us on how to say yes to the things that matter and have confidence in saying no and being okay with the things that we leave behind. So without further ado, Lindsay, thank you for being here.
Hi, you guys. Thanks for having me, Cassie. You're amazing. I love you. It goes both ways. I think I'm so inspired by what you've created, and it's so cool to be in business now. I think it's been, I'm coming up on the end of my 4th year in December, all in on business, leaving professor land behind, and to see someone grow and be a part of your community in the early days and be like, whoa, that's also really cool. So it goes both ways as far as inspiration. And it's also why I love teaching so much, which which is so interesting looking at, I have stuff to say about that. I could say, being inspired by the impact you can have on people and being able to see that impact. It's harder in the entrepreneur space sometimes. It wasn't as hard as it, in a classroom, it felt easier. It felt like students were able to tell you at the end of a semester, right? Because we wrap up. But I think business is just this long journey. There's a bunch of up and downs, and sometimes you lose touch, and other times you stay totally connected and you can actually see people's growth. So, and that was literally why I love teaching. So yeah, thank you. It definitely goes both ways. You're one of my favorite students.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. And on that subject, could you share your background a little bit? And so I've been teasing out that you were, when we revealed that you were our special guest, and I think I just really could not have been plucked in a better place at a better time. And you guys will understand when you hear Lindsay's story and answering her calling, because I never saw myself as a teacher. I never saw myself as a coach. I'm sure all of us can have this long list of things and check off. I never thought I would blank. I never thought I would blank. And then people like Lindsay and my incredible business partner, Jorge, they come into your lives and they just smash everything that we've said to ourselves internally. So I will totally let you share that, because I don't want to spoil it. But I really believe in my heart of hearts, you went through this journey and you were called to serve a bigger purpose, equipped with this incredible skill set that people like me needed.
Yeah. Oh, I love hearing that, because It's literally, oh, it's good because it's the idea of showing up as all of yourself. And so let's start with like the beginning. So I was a professor, a full-time professor. I was a year out from tenure, and I accidentally started a business. I took the path that actually a lot of educators have taken, which involves becoming a part of like an MLM or like network marketing. And I'm super grateful to network marketing. As much as there are people that are out there that say negative things, I'm really grateful because it showed me that another income stream was possible, because I had my dream job. So here's a person who is not trying to escape the 9 to 5. I like had my dream job. I worked really hard to get there. I finished my dissertation the semester that I was first hired. And so it was a lot of effort to get there at like 32 and realize like, okay, cool, I made it. And then so did my husband, who had the same path, PhD, we both got tenure track jobs. And so I wasn't looking for anything else. Like I actually was very fulfilled for my job. So it's a weird story because that's not the typical entrepreneur leave this like thing that wasn't fulfilling. I was fulfilled. However, I'm also an achiever, like type A. I think when you go that far in education and you like do the dissertation and you defend it and then you got the job and you're like, oh, I made it. Like now what? That's what I found myself asking. So I started taking care of myself with health, and that was the network marketing thing. And so network marketing basically opened up my eyes to a side income that it kind of reframed how I thought about money, to be honest, because you have a salary, we had really great healthcare. However, it was like never enough, right? You never got to have enough to be able to paint the kitchen walls. That's what I remember was the first thing I used when I made $1,000 in my network marketing business was, oh, we can paint the kitchen now. Because it was just this extra money that it was like free money, it felt like. And so it just totally changed my idea of like, oh, we don't have to like cut back on Starbucks. Like, what if you just added income versus like budgeting? So it was just a whole different worldview that I had never experienced as a child, but then also like never thought about as someone in a salaried position. It's just like, that's how much money you make. And teachers have this very clear, like, okay, and then the next year you make this much. And there's this whole ladder thing. And, it was nuts. So, or you could like be on a committee and get a stipend of like $2,000, but everyone knew that was never enough money for what you were actually freaking doing. So as I was looking at network marketing, I started getting into like podcasts. And that's when I was listening to like Pat Flynn and Amy Porterfield and like Chalene Johnson, who was like a part of the network marketing company that I was in, which is Beachbody, for any of you asking or thinking. So watching Chalene Johnson and her and Periscope and all this stuff was happening at the time. And I was like, oh, I could do this network marketing thing differently. And I don't think my upline has all the answers. So I started looking at other people. By the end of that year, that's when I decided that going in on my business made sense. I didn't leave teaching yet. I spent the next year, which was 2016. I bought my first course at the very beginning of that year. That was a big moment where I invested like the most I've ever invested. I think that's a huge, game changer. It like really shows your commitment to the universe that you're like doing something different. And went to my first event. And that's actually where I think my business really became what it is. I was at Todd Herman's 90-day year. That was the first event I ever went to. And I got at a lunch with like Melissa Griffin was sitting next to me, which is crazy. Like Pinterest, if you guys know who she is, blogger. She's a huge course creator and business owner and an amazing person actually too. And she was just like, yeah, I wish my students finished my Pinterest course. Like I know if they finished it and actually did the work, they would get the result. And I was like, oh, I've taught online for like 10 years. Here's some thoughts. And I just gave her some random ideas about teaching online. And she's like, why aren't you telling everyone this? Like, we don't know how to teach. And I was like, oh my God. And so that was it. And that happened in April of 2016. By December of 2016, I was out. And I took my husband with me, which was crazy.
That was such a crazy leap of faith. But I'm grateful for it because I totally benefited from it. But I'm not the only one, and I have so much fun looking back. Like, isn't it fun to look back on the decisions that were like holy shiitake moments of your life? Like, I'm actually doing this. I'm going to do this. Watch me do this. Yep. I did it. and, to where you are today. And for me, that was such a pivotal moment. And I mentioned and I teased out the zombie webinar because like that was my focus. Like I was searching, I was learning internet marketing. I had taken a break for 5 years and I found like your ads popping up and I'm like I was in everyone's targeting group because I was in research mode. So I was like, yes, I will register. Yes, I will register. Yes, I will register. So, and then I just saw what a refreshing and honest story it was. And, you spoke my language where you bridged the gap for teaching and like a big problem at that point. And still for a lot of people today is how can I pre-sell something that's unethical to create, to pre-sell something that isn't created. And you like showed up in my life with a sledgehammer. Yeah. And I felt like, here's Lindsay with all of these accreditations, and she left, what we all know and have probably experienced. We, probably many of us have had at least a few college courses. And when you like took those syllabus and slapped us in the face and was like, when you show up to your first college class, like, is it fully delivered on a platter? Like, here you go. Like, this is everything that you're going to need for, and it's like, no, but we fork out, hundreds of dollars per credit hour just to sit in class and take notes. Yep. So like that was my first, aha moment where it's like, okay, whatever she says, I'm going to do. And, then that just, the ripple effect to where we are today. Totally. But you went through several transitions in your business and everything like that too. Oh, yeah. And I think it's really, really important for everybody to realize it's just taking that first step, focusing on what works and eliminating what doesn't. And like this is the part I'm really, really sad about because like I am an OG funnel playground for life, right? But I don't, and this I think is such a respectful part of your journey that I want everyone to understand because you and Emily created the funnel playground and it was profitable. Yeah. It was a success by every angle that you looked at it. Yeah. But you walked away. Yeah. You made that hard choice. Yeah. And I was like, I remember like, what are we going to do now? Like, what? Yeah. Yeah. So there's some funny, let's talk about it because I love it because I see remnants of it now. I see some naming that is happening. Like I love Julie and Kathy, like, and because what Emily and I did was they're like, hey, we can be in partnership with each other and like have fun and make it enjoy, like, let's like not make this a crazy thing. Like there was this energy of like, people liked us showing up together as like a literally hangout BFF. So if we go back to my original story, that year that I went all in on myself, that year of 2016, before I even figured out what I was going to do in this space, I thought I was going to be a health coach. I didn't go into that part, by the way, like that early stage. It was like, because that's all I knew online because I was selling shakes, right? So it's like, and I had this transformation. And so I wanted to help other people. So I started out as a health coach in 2016. And it was until I talked to Melissa Griffin in April that I was like, oh, actually, like all of me can come into this business, and it's the educator and the teacher and the academic and So I met Emily in that time also. She was the first business person that I like engaged with online that I ended up living close to her. I saw her on a Zoom call just like this, and we were socializing when Zoom was actually really new and business owners were just having meetings with their Facebook group and hanging out with people. And I recognized the coffee shop she was in. And we were both like, oh my gosh, we live 15 minutes apart. And I had this moment of, okay, now this thing is real because there's other real people out there doing this online thing. And so we met, and from there, it was just this budding relationship and friendship because she was like the only person I knew that was doing what I was doing. So then fast forward to about a year later, it was like, whoa, we could really help people together. Like I like designing courses and have this different personality than she has, right? And like, we just complemented each other so well. And we're like, what if this could be fun, right? Like, what if we didn't have any attachments to it and we just like hung out with each other, and she was doing Facebook ads. So it was like, everyone needs to fill their courses. It's like, whoa, this is a good combo. So we launched something called like Funnel in 15, which kind of just validated that we had a process that we could help people. And then it was like,
boom, this is a membership site because people are making funnels like really serious, and we want it to not feel like that, and we want it to feel easy. And so we like kind of co-created this membership together, and it was all based on our friendship. And it was called like, we called each other funnel besties, and we had this whole brand, and like we went and did a photo shoot like with her fucking newborn child. Hope I can cuss on this. Like her child was like 3 weeks old. Cool. And we did this whole photo shoot on a playground. Like it was great. And then, yeah, we had a couple launches, and we like, I think we had like 150-ish members at the time, and we started planning our big launch, right? Like a bigger one. Like, how can we go bigger? And Zombie Webinar, by the way, was how we launched, which is what Cassie's talking about. We basically, it was perfect. It was such a good, it's now that I'm
perfect. I'm still waiting for Zombie Webinar secrets.
It was so good. I don't even know what the secret is. Like, just be like, I don't know, it's the connection between pop culture and like be different. And like everyone at the time was talking about how like no one liked webinars. There's these trends, guys. They don't like, they're like, we could still argue they're saying the same thing. And so we talked about a webinar that was a zombie webinar, was one where the person was just showing up like half there, and like you didn't really care, and like it's coming to get you. And so we had the antidote to be a zombie webinar, and it was just like how to do it better. And Emily it was when retargeting first started. It was like, I can't even believe like how fast the tech, moves and changes us. But yeah, and so we just had this beautiful brand. We had friendship bracelets that we sent to people. I mean, we went all in on the playground theme. And I think because we made it fun, and because I think looking back, when I didn't know what the heck I was doing as a marketer, though, except I always had a gut instinct. And I think that's what I've been able to like realize. Like I've learned why what we did worked now, but I went with our gut, and it was what's the word? Counter to what was happening in the market at the time, where Dan Henry was doing screenshots of his Stripe account about how much money he was making. And however, we knew what was happening to his students on the inside and things like that. Right. And so we were speaking to that, and people were like, oh, here are these two girls who happen to be best friends, and they want to make funnels fun for all of us. Like it just worked in what was happening in the market, which is so important when you think about messaging and positioning. This is positioning. How do you position something that other people have already taught? And it was also the early days of like, what's the difference between a webinar and a masterclass? So that's where I went all in and on. I was like, hey, we can teach stuff, and teaching is still selling. And Russell Brunson's content would say like, you don't want to teach. And I'm like, I think you actually are misunderstanding what the word teach means. And it makes sense because he's not a teacher, right? He doesn't come from that space. Teaching is perspective shifting, which is what Russell talks about. How can you make them see the world differently? How can you show them that you like that worldview change, like that they can get that through your product? Teaching is that. Teaching is not just memorization and how to. And it bothers me when people say that educational content has to be how to. I'm like, no, it doesn't. Educational content is also shifting perspectives and worldviews without like just facts and how to do something. So it was obvious to me that the space needed to be shook up as it related to online courses, and caring about their students and knowing how to convey information well. And so that's where it was like, once I realized that, my confidence of the skills, back to that idea of bringing the skills that you already have to your business, it was like, oh, people need me for what I've already done for the previous 30 years of my life, which is just like go to school. People need that. And like, they need that energy. Because there is this pattern of, oh, people just want to sell courses because it makes them money. They don't care about the people on the other side. So here comes someone that says like that, like, I know that that's not true. Like, I know that people want to finish. And so it just became a matter of me, how do I convey what I learned through teaching for 30, or whatever, through education of 30 years. Teaching for 10. And how do I convey that and help this audience who's never taken a course on education or curriculum design or anything like that? So to me, it just like all fell together. And the pivot that you're talking about, the moment when Emily and I decided, so all this, we had this great thing, and I look back and I was like, and maybe we were even a little early, but I look back and, you know, there was lots happening. Like Emily was starting her agency and she was growing really quickly. And it just became this, yes, it was fun, but it was also here on both of our lists, right? Like down, because I was like building courses for people. I was doing this very like high ticket stuff. I didn't have my own course really. I just had Funnel Playground. So it was like, it always took like the fourth or fifth like responsibility. And that idea of like go all in on one thing to hit your first million. I mean, it's true because that was pulling us as much as we enjoyed it. Our businesses weren't in the place that it was time to start something else, either of us, because we were both pretty early still in business. So I think we saw that and we saw what it would take to go to the next level, and were we really truly going to be all in? And then was that fair to our members if we weren't truly fully all in? And so we decided to pull the plug. And instead of just like, you know, I think pulling the plug when something is going well, there's a lot to be said for making that decision before you like run it into the ground because it's protective of what that experience was at its height. Do you know what I mean? Versus, oh, we stopped showing up, we stopped giving content, you know what I mean? We stopped talking about, we stopped launching, and then the members just dwindle out. There's something to be said for saying like, hey, like, let's end, you know, on a good note as well. And so I think that it was a tough decision because we enjoyed it and we made money and just like, it was fun. But we weren't ready to build an entire business together, where Kathy and Julie were very like ready for that. They'd been in business a long time. And then this became this like magical thing that happened between them. And I think it just happened a little too early for Emily and I think in business. And, so we decided to move on and go our separate ways from that joint partnership, I guess.
Yeah. So I want to point out a couple things that you shared so far is because we opened this month with, we have a new spin on a book club where we're within the Amplify group. We're
Kathy's watching. That's funny. I didn't see her. Hi, Kathy.
Hey,
I don't know if you're still on.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I love Julie and Kathy. But so we're putting different spins. We call it Not Your Mama's Book Club, like Amplify Beyond the Pages. And what we're really diving into this month was the book of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Flip. And I immediately thought of you. I told Jorge, like when we were mapping everything out, I'm like, okay, I know who I want to speak on this subject, because like you talk about focusing on certain things, but there's a beautiful art to that focus where you're willing to try things, you're willing to fail, you're cannot get it perfect, but you're opening up yourself to say yes to certain things and to walk away from other things. Thank you. And in deciding to walk away from the Funnel Playground, which was an amazing community, like I have incredible perspective and respect because you decided to focus more on, like you said, going out on a high.
Yeah.
You put the people that you served, your focus was more on the people that you served, more so than just cashing the checks to the bank and doing an kind of job, right? Yep. And like I personally experienced that. I was very, very familiar with the story. And for us, like as marketers, as business owners, as people, as human beings, like getting back to that real connection of realizing we do business with people, I thought that was such an amazing story when we look at things like this, because like on the surface of the cover of a book, it's like, oh, how many things can I not care about? And at a deeper level, it's what important things are we really going to care about?
Yeah.
And for you, like that was such a huge stand and an integritous moment that I was like, not everybody would do that. Not everybody would, like, people would find a way to just kind of half-ass, still bring in the money, make people just satisfied enough, right? Yeah. We see it all the time, right? Yeah. Or completely disappear and then complain about the people complaining about it. Yeah. So I just think your level of integrity was amazing. And that was such an extraordinary lesson of focus, of what to say yes to and what to say no to. But you and Emily still continued like to have an amazing friendship, to grow amazing businesses. And it's come full circle because you wrote down a little phrase that you shared when sharing that story, that the space needed to be shaken up, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's a new space that you're shaking up right now.
Yeah.
And I want to share about that because like, you just don't stop innovating, right? And so I think that is a really interesting area of focus of things that you've decided to focus on and say yes to while pushing other things away. So can you talk to us about that, about the new project that's going on, that many of who are watching may know you for that. They may not have realized all of this in the background that had happened to bring us to this point. But I just love that. Like, you're like, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. And this is a new space that needs to be shaken up because people want impact, people want to teach, and they want to contribute.
Yeah. It still lines up. It's so funny. So I want to say a point about like following the breadcrumbs. And you mentioned it at the beginning, not in that exact language, but you said something along the lines of like, you just kept taking the next step. Like, I never thought I would be a CEO of a SaaS company. Like, definitely was not on my list of to-dos, nor vision or anything like that. And I think that's what's cool about business is you can go into it and you find yourself along the way. You find like what you're made of, really, and what you can tolerate. Dan Martell is my coach for creating my SaaS product, which we'll get into in a second. But he has successfully created 5 SaaS companies, sold 3 of them. So like 3 out of the 5 like made it, quote unquote, in the SaaS world. SaaS just means software as a service, by the way. And he just did a talk on this, like a quick little thing, inspiring. And it was just, I've been carrying it with me and it's really hitting me. This idea of like, when you start to get bigger and you start to do bigger things and make bigger decisions, like launch a SaaS company, your problems get bigger and the challenges get harder, but we still have them. Like, it seems, especially in the early days of business, is I just wanted to feel good. I just wanted to feel like I made it. But like, the reality is that it's actually normal to experience problems in your business. And if you're experiencing problems, that means you're doing something right. It's all about how you react to them and how you handle them. And he says that what you're looking at is like, how much can I tolerate? How much of this like challenging thing, like what is it going to show me about myself? Because when you get to the next level of like, you hit 100K in revenue, then you hit like 300, maybe 500, then you're at 1 million. It's like every one of those levels has problems. There's no magic, like everything works out perfectly. And so your job is to see like, how much are you able to tolerate? And you just hit those different problems and you're like, oh, this is now a multi, like it's like a $50,000 problem I'm experiencing right now. That's very different than when I was first starting. It's like, oh no, I spent $1,000 and that course wasn't good. And you freak out about it. That's because that's that level that you're at for willing to tolerate the uncertainty and the mess ups and the failures, like you're saying. And we have to keep going, because on the other side of all those things is the next step for you, or the next, as far as you want to go. And you don't have to have a multi-million-dollar company in any way, shape, or form. But I'm just trying to like basically wrap my mind around what my journey has been. And as I followed those breadcrumbs, and as my tolerance grew for what I was willing to take in as like a failure or like a lesson learned, and just understanding that like what a gift those lessons are, as shitty as they are. And some of the things that have happened to me this year, and you sit back and you're like, whoa, business is intense, and there's some intense people out there, and I wasn't expecting that to happen. But the reality is like, I'm grateful for it, because it actually showed me like what I'm made of, that I do care about the things that I said I cared about, like values. Like it actually ends up highlighting your values. Just closing down Funnel Playground, if we value the student experience, closing it before it was a shitty experience means I upheld my value, right? So I think that all comes into play as you keep making those changes and pivots, and you just start showing up for yourself. And so when we started Hello Audio, so
So I now have a SaaS product, right? And as we launched Hello Audio, it was Podcast Your Course a year ago in August, actually. And the concept behind it was we should be podcasting our content because audio is so much easier to access from a student perspective, and particularly in a podcast app. And it's really difficult to log into all the different membership sites because we buy from every membership site, right? They're not all in one place. And like, what if the content that you paid for was like waiting for you in your app and you were able to consume it? And so we sat on that idea for over a year, but it was all related to what we were seeing in our course, like as we help people build courses, which was the fear of being on video, the desire to make everything perfect. And we're like, yeah, that's cool. But we just want our students to finish. And half the time people are doing videos that is just their face. You could easily listen to it. You don't have to like really watch me talk about things. So, and I can get into the logic and reasoning behind Hello Audio, but and I doubted myself. I said, hey, I don't really want to be the head of a SaaS company. I'm building Wealthy Teachers. I'm building this other business, right? So here comes this idea of focus, right? And I'm like, I'm building this other business. I bet I could partner with somebody. And a good friend of mine, Henry Duran, who does podcasting, he's like, oh, let me connect you with a couple people because I don't think you have to start your own company. You could probably jump on board with like Libsyn or Podbean or one of these other hosting companies because essentially that's what it is. It's a hosting company. And so I was like, yeah, that totally makes sense. So I pursued that path for 2 or 3 months. And again, telling myself, I never want to be a CEO of a SaaS company. I'd love to help another podcast company take to market this vision. And so that's what I did. We started partnering with this company called Glow FM. She's amazing. Amira, they're all about monetizing podcasts. So their audience was podcasters. My audience is not podcasters. It's digital marketers, creators, coaches, consultants, this crew, right? And so I saw why that audience wasn't being served. And so it was my job to articulate to her that. And then we get another opportunity where someone comes along and says, I can help you develop this. And it was a customer of Podcast Your Course. And so we went in on, okay, maybe we can make this. Maybe I can be a CEO. Fast forward a couple months as we get into development. So we are working on this all together. That person decides to leave and start their own company, which is fine, all totally legal and legit. And so then was another moment was it's like, how bad do you want this? How much focus, right? Like what are you willing to do? And does it like, do you still want to carry this forward? And the answer was absolutely yes. Like it wasn't even a question. And so looking back over the last year, as we have worked on this project in all these different facets between my husband and I, and then bringing on partners and trying to make it work, I'm realizing that is exactly what is needed is that passion for wanting to make an impact and to really, truly put out a product that will help people and has this huge vision. And the innovator in me sees where audio is going and is able to tell, looking at the evidence of Spotify spending $500 million acquiring podcast companies last year. Even just now, they're like fighting Apple Music apparently for some things. But the idea is that it's not just music, it's podcasting. It's not just it's how we get in the ears of our customers. And so people having some sort of audio as a part of their brand it's almost like audio is having its heyday, and I can see it. And that's why I'm like, not everyone sees it, but when you're the visionary and you see it, that's when you go all in. And then also with Corona and everything this year, watching educators struggle and recognizing that how much podcasting, their lectures and their content and their teaching would help the adults who have younger children, but also the college students who, are walking around campus. I don't know if they are now, but like at some point they will be back on campus and they're re-listening to a lecture. It's like, oh yeah, we have this platform. It's called audio, and they've figured out how to get you audio in order, and it's a podcast. Why are we using it in this only in a public way? Why isn't it not like private and monetized and like for specific people? And so that's where Hello Audio kind of came from. So it's been through a lot, but I set aside, I made decisions in my business, back to this idea of focus at the beginning of this year, to pull back on my signature program and drop the amount of support, which therefore dropped my price in my product. And I was totally all for that, and focus on one funnel, while then it opened up space for me to be a CEO of a SaaS company. And so we made those decisions strategically to open space for us to be able to create that thing. And so that's what's cool, I guess, is like, as ideas come to you and like new opportunities and those breadcrumbs show up, and you, the universe is like, hey, you should keep going, like keep going. You have the power to, as a business owner, I think, as running your own company, to like shift things, to say that now I need space for this. And this is how this is going to sustain me. And it's really important, I think, to be able to carry out a vision that is big and scary and something you've never done before. And a lot of people, haven't done it. That's also felt weird to me. Like, wait, like we don't start SaaS companies, like we launch courses, like that's what everyone does. And so sometimes you accidentally start a SaaS company, and you follow that out because and that's why it's like, whoa, what has led me here? I mean, everything I learned about marketing is paying off in launching a SaaS company 1,000%. Most SaaS companies are launched by tech people who like don't understand marketing. They have a hard time like finding their customer. And I get it. So I was just like, oh, this is fun. And just watching even Russell, right? Like bootstrap, right? $100 million SaaS company. I mean, he's the beginning of this stuff. And it's like, oh, he was a marketer who launched a SaaS company accidentally because he needed funnels, right? And that's like where I'm at. And I'm like, oh, it's cool to see how people have done that before you as well. And to recognize that, again, all those skills and everything that's happened up until this point is still useful as you maybe are showing up in even a bigger way and having even a greater impact. Cassie's frozen, I think.
Okay, so I just want to, for the record. Oh, am I frozen?
Yeah, you were for a hot second.
Okay. Yeah, it's stressful. We're on fall break and every kid in the house is on electronics. And so like, I am like, just make it through. So hold up. Are you saying that 3 years ago, you didn't map out the business that you're standing in here, right?
Absolutely not.
Okay. I wanted to clarify that for everybody, that you chose, instead of focusing on doubts, fears, failures, right? To focus on identifying the values that were important to you, focusing on impact, focusing on service, and focusing on innovation.
Yep.
And implementing those values.
Correct.
So I hope you guys, if you're just catching this, been with us for the whole series on focus and reviewing the book, but I hope you see like the practical applications. We beat ourselves up so many times because we think we should be able to sit down and roadmap our life and our business within a planning hour or week or a retreat. And then we're disappointed with the results. And I think it's because we're focusing on instant gratification instead of just identifying those core values and how we're going to serve and impact bigger.
Yep. I love that. I love that you said beating yourself up, because that's exactly what I think, prevents us from being able to go bigger and like take on bigger challenges. Because if you beat yourself up because you sent an email that had the word name in it instead of the people's name, and you beat yourself up for that, that's a small problem. That is not $1 million problem, right? So that means you're not able to tolerate the humanity of being a business owner. But I'm not saying that people who beat themselves up about that are bad people. What I'm saying is they haven't realized that actually doesn't matter in the big scheme of things, and also keep going, because the more you beat yourself up, the more likely your brain is going to try to protect you from the next scary thing that you do when even more shit is on the line, right? And when you're dealing with things that you weren't expecting or that you've never imagined you would have to deal with, it's like, what can I tolerate? What can I take and what am I willing to put on the line, I guess, in order to pursue my dream and my vision. And when you get asked a question after really hard decisions that you've had to make, and my husband asked me this like literally 2 weeks ago, because we had another hard decision we had to make with Hello Audio. And it was like, he's like, well, if you could go back to us launching Podcast Your Course, like, would you still have launched it knowing everything that's happened? And I think when you can, without like even a pause, say, yes, I would absolutely launch it, that shows that like you're in alignment with like that pursuit of that vision. And that impact, right? And that vision is tied to that impact. And so you can let every competitor or every other person out there doing the same thing hold you back, or you can just keep fucking going, because the reality is this means not that many things can stop you. Again, tolerance, right? Like the problems that we face and the choices that we have to make. And it's just like, oh, now I have another hard choice. And I want to say, woe is me. Why isn't this easier? But instead I'm saying, oh my gosh, I'm learning so much about how to hire a developer now, because that's like our thing that we're dealing with. And like, oh, I'm learning so much about like legal stuff and partnerships. Oh, wow. Like, and instead of being like, because I will tell you this, as much as in May, when all this stuff was happening and this partner was leaving, I wanted to be like, I'm a terrible CEO. Like, how'd I let this happen? How'd I let this person in my life? Right? And I would like, you can hear that. It's all about me and the mistakes I made. And instead of saying, this was actually to get us to this actually showed me that I actually really, really care about this product. It's not that I didn't care about Funnel Playground, but it's like, I'm actually all in. Like the universe is showing me and giving me problems for me to like show back to the universe that I'm all in. And when you reframe it, you're like, it's a lesson. There's values behind this. This person played their part in my life, and this is how it looks, right? And it was really hard, and it freaking sucked, and it, still feeling the ramifications of it. But I'm learning from it too. And I think if we can frame these like big, what we consider big problems where you're currently at, as lessons, as growth, as a way to move forward and keep following the crumbs. Again, the problems don't go away. They just get bigger. So you just get better at acknowledging it quickly and like taking that reaction, which also fair. You're allowed to be fucking mad and angry for someone being terrible. Like you totally are. I'm not saying like, don't feel it and keep moving. It's more like feel it and decide what your response is. Decide how long it's going to weigh you down. Working on forgiveness and being like, wow, this is shitty, but also being like, yeah, like how much of it can I let go? And I'm still not totally there, I'll tell you that. But like I'm working on it, right? Because I hang on to it. It's only impacting me. So I think it's that kind of stuff that not everyone talks about in business, right? Because it's like everyone wants to make it seem like everything was their idea and everything's amazing and perfect and like they're so good at all the things. But it's actually the hard shit and the scary stuff and the scary decisions and the missteps that make you the business owner that will last, right? That will have this really big impact because you keep going. Because if I decided to quit at Funnel Playground, if I decided to quit, at Wealthy Teachers and the webinar, like it's just each step. It's like you're on this path to finding the thing that will impact the most people. And some people do find it in 10 months and they're happy to teach you their path to do that. And that's great. But other people take, longer to get there. And that look at how much I've been able to do in 4 years and what I've been able to learn. And it's funny because I look at that in compared to academia, right? Like you can't get a degree in like entrepreneurship. You just have to like live it, right? And like experience it and take in what works for you and set aside the things that don't. But like academia was like, here, follow this exact path. And your teacher will tell you that you have an A and they approve of everything you've done and you've earned this. In this game that we're playing, like life, there is no like earning the degree that says you did it right. There's no like revenue amount that makes you, worthy. There's no size of your business or your team. And I think I struggled with that because I was looking for that external validation as an academic. And I think lots of us do and have that tied to different things. Like, I want to know that I've unlocked the next level. I want someone to tell me you have an A or you passed. And then no one's going to tell you that. Yeah, please tell me the check mark that I'm doing everything right. And so I had to learn that as well. And I think we have a lot of unlearning to do with that external validation. as well. But in business, it's just harder because no one's going to tell you, hey, you made the right choice and hired the right developer. No one's going to tell you that.
Right. Holy smokes. Okay. I definitely want to save some time and open it up for Q&A, you guys.
Sure.
So if you're on Zoom Live and you're with us, just definitely feel free to unmute. And I've seen Lindsay do Q&A before. I don't have to tee her up for any darn thing. She knows her stuff. And I thank you, Lindsay, for your perspective of focus. Because many of us, like, we're our own worst critics, and so we have a choice to choose, to focus on how we're going to dwell on things or how sucky that was. Because life is going to have some really, really sucky moments. And if you haven't hit one yet, I promise you, you will. And the biggest power that we have and the quickest way to overcome them is, like you said, to feel it, to not deny it, to not push it down or pretend it didn't happen. But how is that moment going to empower you to be better? And if you just make that simple mind shift, and I'm reading 3 books this month, around the focus, and this is just one of them. This is, and so it's what we've been diving into in the Amplify My Impact community. So you guys, I definitely want to open it up. Jorge, if you have any questions or any feedback or contribution, definitely chime in. Don is amazing, and he's got to be working on something because he's usually really active in the chat. He's our he's just our resident, insightful genius. So there he is. So excited.
Well, if you're going to call me a genius, I'm going to jump in.
You're going to come on? I will call you out.
I'm in a loud car. We're on the road trip to take the nephews to see their parents. But Lindsay, I'm a huge fan of yours. I'm a Hello Audio lifetime subscriber. I'm excited to use it. I posted in the chat. I would love for you to share with us one of your maybe earliest and biggest experiences that taught you something. And that doesn't necessarily have to be a failure, but for those of us that are just getting started out, I think there's so much opportunity for self-doubt, for getting in our own way, and for somebody who's reached great success. Share with us early on in this journey for you, one of your maybe biggest learning or growing opportunities, or what advice you give us to get out of our own way and just thrive.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great question. I like that you made it also super early. I think it's really easy to get into something recent that happens. Super early. One of the most pivotal moments was the decision when that I made to leave my job. Right. So, and I kind of spoke it that summer when I started to get booked out. And this was after the Melissa Griffin story. So if we got the timeline, we have April. And then I started booking course clients, basically helping people map out their curriculum. And I was busy that whole summer. And that's what's really cool about being a teacher is I had the summer, quote unquote, summer off. I did not decide to take summer school classes, which I taught the year before, which actually was an interesting thing. Now that I look back, that choice to not have to do summer school, it's another way that teachers try to add money, but then they never get that break, and they need it for various reasons. But anyways, I knew that I didn't have to do summer school because I started this side business. So that was there was a purpose behind why I started this, even network marketing. So there I am that summer getting booked out, and my husband decides to read The Secrets of Six-Figure Women. So I have a very supportive husband, feminist all through and through. And he's just he reads this book before I read it. And he's like, you should have left your job. You shouldn't even go back. This is in August when I'm supposed to start teaching in 2 weeks. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, you just need to read this book. And of course, this is a book written in the 90s about women who made 6 figures. Corporate, very corporate, but also people starting their own businesses. And one of the things was just taking the leap is without the evidence that it's going to totally work. And so he's just you shouldn't even go back this year. And my reaction right when he said that is well, I appreciate your support. So having a supportive partner, I know is not everyone's story. It's very helpful when you have someone who has your back and has all the confidence in the world in you. But he said to do that. And then I was I need to say goodbye to teaching, and I'm going to use this last semester too. And boy, did that happen in so many ways. That's another story. But that moment when I knew that it was the right decision was I just started to be open. I think that feeling of being open to, you can call them messages from the universe, you can call them, conversations with God, whatever your way of that connection to like that knowing that you have. If you are in a state of like, I don't really know what's coming next, but I'm listening, and like please send me the messages, right? And I think I was just in this very like state of open and listening, and lots of things happened that fall that were like direct messages that was like, yep, you need to leave. But the one moment was when I was sitting in my office that had no windows. And I used to take like calls in there. I used to take sales calls and stuff. And it was like, maybe during office hours, don't tell on me. But I got this call, and I had this connection with Travinia Barber, who was at the time Amy Porterfield's VA, before Chloe, before there was like integrators and all this stuff that she now is so public about. And she messaged me, and I just made this connection with her. And I'm always grateful for the networking and opportunities. And she's like, I found you somebody to help you build a course. And she goes, but I kind of sold her the package on the phone. So literally she priced me like to this woman, and she priced me at $60,000 for a course. Okay. And I didn't know that at the time, but I'm on this call, and she's like, oh, like, I remember this too. She's like, call me as soon as you get this. I have a lead for you. And I accidentally told her a different price than you probably would have said. So then I call her back, and she's like, oh, I'm on the phone with Amy. Like, let me tell her, like, I'll call her back. And I was like, oh yes, please put Amy Porterfield on hold. No big deal. So here's the universe being like, okay, professor in your office with no windows, and here's me talking to Travinia, and she's like, yeah, so I quoted her $60,000. And I'm like, I made $64,000 this year, like quote unquote salary. And I was like, what the fuck, right? So I call my husband after that moment, and I'm like laughing and crying at the same time, because it's the weirdest feeling that I'm like in school and having someone on the phone saying that they'd pay me that amount of money for something I already did for way less. And I was like, you want to leave too? And he's like, I don't know, maybe. And so that was like everything. Here's the crazy part. The contract never happened. That January, like she like screwed it, like things happened. It was odd. There was weird stuff with Travinia wanting to cut that I thought was like a little too much. But like, moral of the story is literally that contract never even happened. And I left very confident. Like when the universe shows up and says, hey, you could make this if you wanted to, you have to like follow that like message, right? You have to realize that that is a breadcrumb specifically left for you. So my thing is, if you're making big decisions in your business, if you're like wondering what your path is or what the next offer is, like going inward is huge. And however you do that, whatever that looks like for you, but it's like that there has to be that trust and faith in this whole process, and faith in the words of it, like could be religious or not. This idea that it like, that you are supported through these decisions, like that's the only way to make these hard decisions, is that trust and faith in the process. So that's my early story. I don't know if it's like the biggest learning opportunity, but it is, because I guess it's like whatever you ask for and you're willing to listen for, and if you follow it, like you're supported. Like, I don't want to be like Gabby Bernstein, like the universe has your back. Like, yeah, it's that, but like you're supported. Like everyone wants you to win at this, and like keep going. And the hard thing is, doesn't mean stop. And I think that, a 60,000 contract, whether it happens or not, is a fun message to receive that can totally blow your mind, but also show you what's possible. And that's what I needed to leave something that I loved that much.
I love the going inward too, Lindsay. So thanks for sharing that, because so often we get in our own way, but we don't give ourselves credit for the good ideas. So if the universe has my back, I'm all for it. But that also means you got to look within and find the strength, find the courage, find the answers. So thanks for that.
Yep. And you have to do it too, right? Like the universe can have your back, but you have to keep going, right?
Yep, absolutely.
You have to take the action. Yep.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Don.
I
Nice to
love
meet you.
it. I love it. Michelle, Vince, Leanne, Jorge, we have 4 more minutes to the top of the hour. And I just want to say, Lindsay, like the thing that I pulled out from that, the hard thing doesn't mean stop, right? Just because it gets hard, like, when you say signs in the universe, like we like to lean into the easy paths, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, it gets hard. I'm not supposed to be going this way. I need to change.
Yep.
And that puts us in a cycle of shift, when we could have shifted prematurely instead of allowing that hard space to grow us into that next level.
Yeah.
So I think it's one of those things that we have to realize. Everything in life comes with a dichotomy, right? It's not black or white. We have to learn how to listen to our intuition, but we also have to realize when that subconscious is disguising itself as intuition.
Yes, that happens a lot.
Yeah. So I want to open it up for you guys. So just go ahead and unmute and ask Lindsay, ask away. Jorge, did you want to add anything?
No, she spoke thoroughly and deep. So nothing off the top of my head for me.
No worries.
You've left everyone speechless, Lindsay.
Apparently.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's amazing. I definitely want to use this extra time that we have, like, to share where Hello Audio is, where it's going. And I know you guys are prepping for a launch. So if there's some things that you can share with us, I totally understand if there's some things you can't share with us. And if there's some things she can't, you guys don't worry. I've already told Lindsay, I'm like, whenever the launch domino falls, like we're having her back. And
for sure.
We're lifetime members. Like it doesn't matter if Lindsay publishes it. Like I have a Lindsay fund. I tease Julie and Kathy. I'm like, look, I have a Kathy and Julie fund and I have a Lindsay fund.
Yeah.
I actually have an Emily fund too.
I love it.
There's just people that come into your life that that like you said, the core values that they choose to focus on, they live them out, and it pours itself out in everything that they touch and everything that they create.
Yeah.
And for me, like, you're never done. You're never done learning. You're never done developing. And it's important, like when you talk about core values, like for us, for Jorge and I, like the clients that we serve, we have an obligation to them for us to equally stay sharp and ahead of the curve and have a pulse on the marketplace. And it's our job and responsibility to not be current, but to, like you said, to innovate. And to do that, you have to surround yourself with innovators. And so that's definitely one of the things that we focus on. So I would love for you to share whatever you can share. And it's totally okay if there's still some secrets that are saving for launch.
Yeah. So I'll share this. So we hired a new developer. We had to let our other one go, and he built a product not quite to where we needed it to be. So we've been in this process of fine tuning, but also adding. So what we realized with the powerhouse developer that has joined the team and then who he brought along with him, so we have 2 developers now working on it, is we're actually able to take the MVP further than we were planning on taking. So what that means is we're releasing more features. Because they're already heads down, we're like, okay, would 1 more week add this level of use? And we just started to say yes to those things and to make sure that the product that comes out can serve our customers in the way that they need. And that is going to save them the most time. So there were some things we were going to put on a runway. And so it's kind of like once you already have to push back the date, you're like, it's already been decided that the date has to be moved and that it wasn't up to par. So now what? And so we are going all in on making the MVP like a product that has the features that we really, really want and that we know our users really, really need. So we've been focusing on that, and there's been some stuff that we've had to rebuild in light of what the other developer left us. And so there's that, which is fun. But then what's really cool, I guess, about the decision to hire this developer is that he is like CTO level. Like he comes from the startup world. This isn't a guy I found on Upwork. He actually was recommended by my coach, Dan Martell, who again has helped hundreds of startups, was invested in hundreds of startups, and has created his own. And he was like, whoever lands this guy is lucky. And guess what? In June, we reached out to him and I missed him by a day. He picked this other company. And so we actually almost had him in June. And so he just happened to, we're talking about messages from the universe, he just happened to message me when we knew that this developer that we currently had was not going to work long term. And he's like, how's that project coming along? And I was like, how's your project? And I was like, why are you messaging me? And it turned out that the way in the startup world, right? Like they're not marketers like us. And so they get funding, they get capital, they raise venture capital. They raised like 150,000 in their pre-seed fund. And they kind of ran out of money and now they needed to find customers and users. This was a company that's basically creating an Airbnb for kitchens, which for commercial kitchens, totally needed. But now they need the users and they need the bookers. And so they have a marketing problem. And so for us marketers, we like have already positioned and already aligned up and have already pre-launched and all the things. So we just need the person to build the product. And so he's just like, I love what you guys are doing. He's really into like music. He actually makes music himself. And so he loves the idea of audio. So he's like, I'm all in for this in the long run. And like, maybe we might do an equity like deal with him. But this idea that we now have a tech co-founder has actually been a part of this whole journey. That's a hard thing to find. You have to have someone invested. It's not just a contract job. I mean, the product is what we're selling. We're also selling the service because that's really important. The service part, the community, how can we help our customers succeed and like make more audio and take care of their people? Because we're in the business of helping our users wow their customers, right? We're not actually wowing their customers. It's Cassie's job and Jorge's job to create great content. We just become an avenue for them and they can be like, yeah, Hello Audio is awesome. That is what brought you this amazing thing. So like, it's cool to be in the space of like making our users feel awesome because their customers love them and think they're innovative, right? And are doing things in a different way. And so when when you know that, what can we do to make those users even wow their people even more? How can we make this even better? And so that's what we're really focused on now. And so all of a sudden it was like, I felt like we up-leveled in a day by being like, oh, this is like legit now. Like this guy is like choosing to like help our company grow. That's a big deal. And he's also an amazing dude. And I think that that's like a cool part about it as well, is you're like the values line, like, his LinkedIn was saying how he mentors, marginalized groups in coding. Like he teaches them AWS and he mentors them. And I was just like, he's a teacher. Oh my gosh. And he like teaches for this media company as well. Some stuff on AWS. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. Right. And that it's that kind of stuff where you're like, the choices we're making now, as hard as they are in the benefit of the world-class product that could be bought by Spotify. So I that's my vision, is like Spotify is going to swoop in and like want to buy Hello Audio and create a whole learning platform, as part of their thing. I could see that happening. And so just sticking to that vision and being like, what is going to make us get there? It's going all in on a very expensive developer who's like 5 times the cost of the average person. But there's a reason why. There's a reason why he's that. And so I've learned a lot about all of this. And I literally cannot wait until it's released. Like, it feels like all I've been doing is waiting, but talk about patience and resilience, and just like, it's gonna happen. And like, all of this is happening for a reason, and it's in service to that vision. So keep going. Like, a week is a week, or a couple of weeks is a couple of weeks. It goes by fast. And man, do I want it out there, because I love talking about it. It makes it a lot harder when you don't have the thing ready, but it's so worth it.
I know you did an internal, a little mini kind of launch with all of the lifetime members, and I'm like sitting on my hands. I even messaged you. I'm like, how publicly can we share this?
We didn't want to do it very public. That's the thing. Yeah, for sure.
I know. So I'm like, all right, fine, I'll wait. So, I think that's the beautiful thing is that, you've focused on community, you've focused on your core values and delivering what they need to make their impact. And when you do pull the lever on launch, we'll all be there. Yep. And we're all excited for that. So where can they find you? Where can they follow you? Where can they just get all things Lindsay?
Yeah. So we're now letting in not just lifetime users, so the Hello Audio community. So now you can start to hang out in there in prep for the founders launch. The founders launch will have pricing monthly that's lower than what we're eventually going to be. So we are still honoring that the first early adopter kind of crew. So yeah, that would be my suggestion. And then me, I like showing up kind of on Instagram stories is kind of where I typically have been hanging out. And then the Wealthy Teachers Lounge is the other group that I have that's based on teaching and learning online. So I would say, yeah, groups like that is probably where you could hang out. And Hello Audio, if you go to helloaudio.fm, you can jump on the wait list for when we announce. We haven't officially set a date. Lifetime users will find out about that date faster than everyone, but and they will get first access. But if you want to jump on that list, you'll get a PDF that shares the 43 ways that you can use audio in your business and get those wheels turning. So you're ready to hit the ground running when we are open, and it's coming soon. We're seriously weeks away. I'm missing a bug meeting right now, a bug smash party that my team is doing, where they try to find all the bugs in the software, stuff we did not do for the other software not the other software, the first phase, I should say. So we're close. We're very, very close. And when we can announce a date, I will, but I can't. Yeah. I am not allowed to say. I've not been given.
I love this. I love this. I feel like it's Good Morning America, or the old Regis and Kathy Lee is like, how much can you say without getting in trouble? But thank you for missing your bug smashing meeting. To Lindsay's team, thank you for sharing her. Yeah. And thank you guys for attending live with us. Those of you who are on Zoom, those are you who are watching on Amplify My Impact live stream in the group, and those of you watching on Facebook. I really, really appreciate you spending your time with us every single Friday, week in and week out. We are here because we are on a mission to amplify everyone's impact, to streamline a clear and confident message so that you can get your product or service out into the world and truly contribute in bigger ways. So follow us along on all of the social media platforms. I Amplify My Impact, amplifymyimpact.com. We have a podcast. So some of this interview is going to be kind of chopped up for the podcast. I'm really, really excited about that. Surprise, Lindsay.
Surprise. I love repurposing content. Let's do it.
Speaking of focusing, I'm like, I love to interview. I love to share. I love to talk to people and share their stories. But I'm like, how can I do this more efficiently? And so this is one of our first episodes that we're going to see if we could do it right and get it right.
Cool.
And if not, I'll go back to the old model, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because
let me know how I can help too. Let me know how I can help.
Yeah. Well, we're prepping for our Hello Audio stuff. So.
Oh, nice. I love it. Now I really want to help. No,
But thank you guys. I hope you have an amazing Friday. Lindsay,
awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks
Love you. Adore you.
Love you too.
Bye, guys. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. I hope you've received value, encouragement, and exactly what you need to help keep you in momentum to grow and impact the world around you. Big or small, we all make a difference. Thanks also for subscribing, downloading, and leaving a review. This helps us reach others who need this message in their life. If you know anyone who would benefit from this podcast, please share so you and I can help more people boldly step into purpose. It is my heart's mission to help and encourage others. My internal belief that a rising tide lifts all ships. So much of what we talk about on the podcast is leading with value and building relationships through service. So we've created a collection of resources for you to continue growing, whether you are just getting started or ready to scale your business. Visit amplifymyimpact.com for show notes, downloads, programs, and more information about how to directly work with our team to amplify your impact and change the world.